Let's move down to the inside then in the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile with Court Vision. And Frank, I can remember Michael Ivorone being asked about this horse a while back, and he said this one has one of the best pedigrees anywhere in America.
Yeah, but since this horse has had his surgery to remove the undescended testicle, he has, it seems that he needed that surgery in a big way, because he has filled out. He's put on about 75 pounds or 100 pounds since that surgery, and he's won a Grade 1. And I see this horse stepping forward in a major way.
Let's be honest though, how would you, Graham, I'm going to pose this question to you. If there was a 3-horse race, Court Vision, Delegator, and Goldacova, you wouldn't even give Court Vision a chance, right, against those two?
No, I wouldn't. In a heartbeat, I'd go for the Delegator. Is a serious horse. We shouldn't underestimate him.
FERNELEY has, you know, at least with an important win in the Del Mar Mile, established himself here in California, but on this global stage, could he even be a factor in this race?
I think he could. I think he's a horse that's improving at the right time. I mean, he could get a piece of this. I'm not saying he's going to jump up and win, but he ran very well behind Ventura last time out. He's a fresh racehorse, and I think he's, by the way he worked earlier this week, that you got to be happy with the way he's coming in this race, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, Simon, you hit it on the head. He's an improving horse, a horse that's really found his game. Yes, he got beat last time, but he got beat by none other than Ventura, a horse that would be a major factor in this race should she have chose to go in there. And when you watch him work on the grass here at Santa Anita, you see everything you want to see in terms of liking a horse. Very nice stride, going over the ground very, very well. Is not really asked for much at the end of the work, but enough to see if he will indeed quicken. He does that. This is a horse at a major price that is a player in this race.
Absolutely. This horse is come good at the right time. He probably isn't good enough to win it, but he looks like he is going to outrun this 20-to-1 odds, and I wouldn't be afraid to show up in this race with this horse the way he's training.
I think that can be said a lot about most of the Americans in here, Todd. They're good enough to get a piece of it, but not good enough to win it.
Well, it's going to be a serious run for the Europeans this stretch of the card come Saturday. The TVG Breeders' Cup Mile, they certainly have the Americans surrounded. And when Aidan O'Brien sends most of his yard out to the track, it looks like he literally has everyone surrounded. And for the Americans who, you know, the American racing viewers aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about how European trainers handle the mornings. Like, a lot of times we're sending horses out in sets or individually. What's the approach of, say, a trainer like Aidan O'Brien?
Yeah, it's all team ethos, and if nothing else, it's tremendous theatre when Team Coolmore come out of the barn, and it was brilliant this morning just to watch them come out. Silence, game faces on from all the work riders, and you know, you just couldn't put a price on this list of thoroughbreds here. There's Aidan on his hack, and he was just whispering instructions to all the work riders. He wanted specific things. There's the Ripper, Rip Van Winkle, the potential star attraction of the entire week. Slightly warmed down his neck, but Aidan's not a problem with that. Manavine, I think he's a long shot in the marathon. Tremendous pedigree, but form credentials, something to prove for him. But he's got the pedigree. Here we have MasterCraftsMan, a big player in the dirt mile, a 4-time Grade 1 winner, and proven on the surface after the win last time. What have we got next? This is another potentially interesting horse. We got LILLIE LANGTRY towards the back. She was the one who took my eye in appearance. Alfred Nobel, if you'll pardon the pun, some people looking for a dynamite performance from him. I'm not quite so sure. Beethoven, a visor, galvanized him in the Dewhurst last time. Will he respond quite so well again? I'm not so sure about Beethoven. But all sorts of depth here among the juveniles. LILLIE LANGTRY, the filly. Viscount Nelson, he's a horse who will relish racing over a mile and half a furlong on the turf. Filly coming up, I think. This is LILLIE LANGTRY coming up, and she is the one. Aidan was asked by one of my colleagues from the Racing Post, what is your best chance? Your best chance, the one horse who has your best chance of a winner this weekend. He gives careful consideration to all those questions, Aidan. And after a little while, he said, it's LILLIE LANGTRY.
That's phenomenal. I mean, think about it. As a 2-year-old, she's nearly $1 million earner already, to give you the type of year that she has had. And that towers over anybody from America going in that race. The juvenile fillies on the turf. When we return, better late than never. Chocolate Candy for the Dirt Mile and Rainbow View for the Ladies Classic. You're watching the Works Breeders' Cup 2009. Sign up now for a TVG account and you can be playing 2 days of championship racing right here from Oak Tree at Santa Anita, Friday, November 6th and Saturday, November 7th. And then year-round, you're playing the best racing anywhere in America. Become a TVG account holder today. And with our special sign-up promotion, when you bet 50, you get 50. Go to TVG.com or call 1-888-PLAY-TVG. here's a couple of races that you definitely want to play with your TVG account. Let's start with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. We've been talking a lot about post-position draw, and I'm sure when Bob Baffert looks back, he got a little unlucky with a lot of his post draws. We talked about the inside for Sensational in the Sprint, and now the far outside for Looking at Lucky and the Grey Goose Juvenile.
Well, the one thing I'll say is if Looking at Lucky is as good as the camp thinks and Bob Baffert thinks, the post position shouldn't be a problem. Horses like Niesque, like Lure, like Half Bridle have overcome bad post positions. Good horses do that. And if we're expected to believe that this is the Looking at Lucky that Bob Baffert thinks it is, it shouldn't be a problem.
To the juvenile turf, and a look at the field entered here. The morning line would have you believe it's wide open, and maybe to some degree, but off one performance, Interactif is better than a 4-to-1 chance to win this race.
There's no question. I mean, his win in the Bourbon Stakes last out was unbelievable. You really have to go back and look at the replay to do it justice. He overcame a terribly wide trip and still got the job done. And he's proven on a firm track and a yielding turf condition. So it doesn't matter what the surface is, but it's going to be firm this weekend.
Older horses in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. You see on the inside, MASTERCRAFTSMAN, and I have to say, he's every bit of that 6-5. He may be the free square in the pick 6 sequence on Saturday.
100% totally agree with you, especially when we saw Aiden's Army out and the way he lined up on the track. I thought he looked very, very good indeed.
Okay, we'll talk about another horse, though. Let's talk about a long shot possibility in the Dirt Mile. That would be Chocolate Candy, out for work this morning. Yeah,
this is a horse that was highly touted, highly thought of on the Triple Crown Trail early on, and then he kind of, once he got on that Triple Crown Trail, things went awry. Now they're kind of regrouping, Tom, coming back to a mile. What are your thoughts?
I like this horse shortening up, Chocolate Candy going back to the mile distance, shortening up from those longer trips, going all the way back to the Derby and there on. But, you know, you can like a horse shortening up, but does he still show you on the track what you need to send you to the window? I think Chocolate Candy does that in this particular work. He's going along very, very nicely. A little bit off the rail here, but I think that's by design, and down the lane looks quite good.
Certainly does. He makes a very nice appearance, and this will be a popular victory for the Craig Family Trust. Of course, the late Sid Craig, now this headed up by his wife Jenny, and Jerry Hollendorf for Joe Rosario has been aboard for a couple of victories here, or one victory and a couple of second place finishes aboard this horse. He does throw that right front out there. That's just his way of going. His gait, as we would say, it's a homebred, so you're not going to get all the cosmetic details fixed like you would with a yearling that goes through the sales, but I like the way he's finishing up.
Chocolate Candy preparing for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, 5 furlongs, a minute and 2/5 this morning here at Oak Tree at Santa Anita. Okay, if you want to break out the 75% line, a horse could be 75% and win a Breeders' Cup division, I think you got to break out that line from MASTERCRAFTSMAN. Graham, don't you think his form is just dominant over his American counterparts in this race?
Yeah, I think he has the best form in the race. And the good thing about MASTERCRAFTSMAN, he's durable, he's hard, and he knows how to win, he knows how to fight. He did that at Royal Ascot in tremendous style with a great battle with Delegator. Repeat of that form takes him very close indeed.
What I like is the fact he's been over the synthetic surface. We know this pedigree would suggest that he could handle the surface, but that win last out was against nobody. It was just a test run to see if he liked the synthetic surface.
Yeah, okay, before we make this the Aidan O'Brien show, let's keep one thing in mind. He's 0 for 23 over the last 3 years shipping here. That includes 2 heavy favorites like Dylan Thomas and Soldier of Fortune here. He hasn't won yet.
Graham, how do you respond to that?
It's an extremely good point, because these horses are going to be very, very strongly bet. And it's true, it's 6 years since High Chaparral dead heated with Johar for the turf here. That's a long time between drinks for Coolmore at the Breeders' Cup. But it's true to say that most of those horses who were beaten ran very well. Excellent Art at Monmouth, Henry the Navigator.
Twice second in the juvenile turf, Westphalia, Achilles Island.
Exactly, heart-shaped.
Yeah.
Beaten a Whisker in the juvenile turf last season. So lots of horses have run right up to the marks. They just haven't hit the line first, but I wouldn't hold the recent lean spell against Coolmore. I think they're ready to strike at least once this week.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly, everything seems to be in place, but it would be kind of like saying the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Easy.
Okay,
yeah,
let's
you're right there.
let's move on to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And in the sprint, we take a look on the inside. Sensational. So much made of that post draw, even though he has overcome the inside post draw in some big stakes races. I still say it's an issue from what I've seen.
It can be an issue, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it, but if, again, I'll just echo the sentiments I said about Looking at Lucky. If he's good enough, he's going to overcome it. He was very slow away in his last 2 starts at the inside post, and if he's good enough, he'll still get the job done.